So Roll20, who I think is an excellent D&D creator on YouTube, just put out a video about how you can kill your player with bandits. And it's a very interesting video, and it has a lot of good ideas on how to run them, some of which I'm going to be reiterating in this video, but I couldn't help but have a bit of disagreement with the general tone of the video, that bandits are lame and bandits suck. I have always thought that bandits are one of my favorite enemies. And that sounds really weird to a lot of players, and it's only recently that I've started to realize that a lot of players have this negative attitude toward bandits. And I guess the attitude is sort of that, why would you run, just a ragtag group of humanoids with swords and bags of money and whatever, when you've got gnolls, orcs, goblins, whatever, all these other good level 1 to 5 monsters at your disposal for a camp or a horde. Why would you choose to run bandits? Right here in the entry for Bandit, it says that they have an armor class of 12, 11 hit points, and they could either have a scimitar that does d6 plus 1, or a crossbow that does d8 plus 1. And that's it. That's it. That is the entry for the Bandit in the Monster Manual. I think I will extend the olive branch to a lot of people that have this opinion of bandits, that when you look at just the Monster Manual entry for a bandit, it's pretty lame. But if you start to think of a bandit as an umbrella term for a type of enemy, you can start to get to a really interesting place. And the place that I get to a lot with this is that I think the most interesting bandits are bandits that are very close to the players, and that the players could have been. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cards that I had made for this campaign where I was running bandits for my level 4 and 5 group, and I'm going to show you how I use those cards to create really, really dynamic encounters that I don't think you could have had with almost any monster in the Monster Manual. I think there's really something to be said for a humanoid fighting another humanoid in D&D and what that does to the encounter. I'm going to be saying a lot of things that were in Roll20's video. I'm also going to be saying things that were in a Runehammer video. Runehammer is another very, very good D&D YouTuber, and he put out a video about how to make really complex AI for your monsters and sort of run them with an algorithm. He is going to be able to talk about that in a lot more detail than I'm going to be talking about the bandits here, so I recommend you check that out if you just want to improve that aspect of your game in general. But I'm going to be focusing a lot on elements that were in those two videos to talk about how I run bandits and why I think if you run them this way, it can make them one of the best low-level enemies you can possibly run. What I have written here are basically 7 archetypes for the bandit, and I am sure that there are many better ways to split this up, but what I have written here are, there's a melee bandit, a archer bandit, a healer bandit, a mage bandit, a rogue bandit, a defender or shield bandit, and then a leader bandit. So when we look at an individual card, basically what we have here are 3 columns. I have sort of an AI column, and then I have sort of a combat ability column, and then I have a strategy column. And what I like to do with these cards is when I'm preparing a bandit encounter, I lay them out in front of me, and any specific stats or features of the bandits I want to write down, I go ahead and do that. But I have it out here in front of me, sort of the general archetype of each bandit, and I can keep track of what each of them should be doing. Because I think this is something that gets overlooked sometimes when people are DMing, is that your party is going to have a lot of synergy and battle mechanics behind them that they've had time to integrate, and they're going to be 4 to 6 brains, against you, typically. So it's really helpful to kind of lay out some things that might sound simple so that your one brain doesn't get overwhelmed and you can actually run these bandits as if they are 4 to 6 other brains versus your players. And this can create a very dynamic fight in that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and post like an image up here of what I'm talking about, but let's just look at my very basic melee bandit that I have written here. So I'm going to start with the middle column first because I think that's the easiest one to talk about. In this middle column, I just have HP 20 to 40 and then AC 13 to 17. So obviously that's not particular. What I would do is I would look at this card, and when I'm making one melee bandit, I would know to make them with something here, basically. So this is just shorthand. You can see written down there too are just some abilities. And those are all abilities that I have pulled from the player's handbook. This is something Roll20 talks about. You have extra attack, you have like a barbarian rage, a disarm, like a battle maneuver. You have Hunter's Mark, which is a ranger's ability. And none of these, even Shocking Grasp is just thrown down there because why not? You know, it'd be exciting to look at a bandit and say, he's just the sword and shield guy, and then he has Shocking Grasp. Who knew? He was an Eldritch Knight. It's not just players that can do that. So it's really interesting for me to kind of grab bag these things and make the bandits constantly interesting. Now for the AI thing, on this left column you'll just see 5 very basic words: attack, defend, retreat, patrol, and rest. So pretty much what I do is, you see those little blank squares there, what I like to do is I'll just get a small token or a chip or something, and I just move it between those 5 every time their turn comes up in combat. And the way I move them is looking at the strategy column on the right. So you can see for the bandit, the strategy column is just target the strongest enemy and just try to separate the group from the rest of them and block the paths so that they can't get to the bandits' weaker troops in the back, like the mages and the archers. And pretty much, so when their turn starts in combat, unless they've been taken by surprise and things are going really bad, they'll be in attack mode, and they'll just do that. The melee unit is just going to run to the strongest enemy and try to separate them from their herd and take them out. And then maybe, if they also have the opportunity, block other players from getting forward. Next round of combat, what I will do is reevaluate the situation. Now, the reason I have this written down again is so my one brain can be multiple brains, and you can get overwhelmed with just dealing with all the other bookkeeping that comes with being a dungeon master. You forget to just think about, if I was this bandit, I run up with my 2 warhammers or whatever, and I'm attacking the group's barbarian. And in the time I've been attacking the group's barbarian, he has hit me back for about 12 points of damage. There are other enemies making it to our archers in the back, and somebody just cast a spell that is going to seriously affect the terrain of this combat encounter. Am I still just going to be in attack mode? And a lot of times the answer is no. So you can move it to defend or retreat. Defend would just be something like taking the dodge action, or maybe even the disengage action and just moving back 20 or 30 feet to a point of cover. And then retreat would just not necessarily be, we need to get out of here and run for our lives, but it would be, this current situation that I am in this turn is not gonna work. I need to go. Patrol and rest are mostly out of combat. Rest would just be the opportunity for players to get the jump on them, and patrol would be if they're prepared for something to show up, but they're not about to fight yet. Because think about it, what do you have now? The players are going to come across a group of 5 bandits. Maybe there's 2 of them like on top of a plateau, and the other 3 are wandering around at the bottom, and the 2 at the plateau are archers, and they'll shoot a couple warning shots at the group and say who goes there. And now you move all of the AI on the group, maybe from rest mode to patrol mode, or patrol mode to attack mode, and you just get them ready to take whatever action they need to. And you as the dungeon master are in the mindset of these characters now. The players start fighting back, and they launch a bolt or a spell or something back at one of the archers up top, and boom, take one out, and they think, this is easy, we got the upper hand. But now that you have this AI in place, and now that you have these player abilities, they are prepared to fight. So your bandit up here might take a shot and then just run back to a defensive position, and with their shot they'll take the sharpshoot action, and then while the rest of the fight is going on, they'll hide. They'll get into an advantage position of some sort, and they'll hide, and they'll take another sharpshoot at some point with advantage because they're unnoticed from the players. And then while that's going on down here, maybe you have some basic fighters that seem really rudimentary, but at some point one of them busts out some healing spells and, can sort of healing word one of them that went down, and they get that one more attack in that changes the tide of battle. And maybe they do sort of a fake out thing where you have one with a shield that draws the aggression of the players, and then as soon as they're in that position, they're now in the advantageous position for his friends to come in and swarm around. Now you get this very rugged, tactical fight where everybody's fighting for their lives, and then maybe you get about halfway through the fight, and now your bandits realize that they're losing, and a couple of them might go into defense or retreat mode and run away, and at some point you realize that the whole time there's been a sixth bandit rogue who's just been hiding, and your players, right when they think they're going to turn things around, bam, the barbarian goes down, he's gone, and now the rogue's running to another hiding position. Do we chase him? Do we revive the bandit? Do we deal with the healer? Do we deal with the archer that's in hiding? And you get all of this going on, and I think what's most important about this, you can feel my passion here, okay? I really care about this. I think what's most important about this is this leads itself to encounters where the bandits are going to feel like people. They're not just going to feel like a stat block. They're not just, scimitar, HP 12. Like, who cares? Who cares about that at all? You are going to be fighting people. And maybe that's not the tone of the campaign you want to run. Maybe you don't want to do this realism, heavy-hitting, like Last of Us kind of style, like, fighting the hunters in that game sort of thing, where it's just, I could have been one of them, and it's just a person versus a person. But I think if you want to make bandits interesting, that's really the direction to go. So to reiterate, yes, you look at the bandit in the monster manual and you say, yeah, why not orc or gnoll or something much more interesting? And I love those things too. But I have found myself continually putting bandits in every campaign I write as a dungeon master, and not just as fodder, not as the day of travel filler enemy or the joke enemy that's really just the B villain to the bigger stuff going on. I have found myself seriously integrating them into a lot of plots that I write. And granted, there comes a level with your players. They enter the second tier, or especially the third or fourth tier of play, and fighting bandits just isn't cutting it anymore, and it's just not going to do it. But when you're in those that like 1 to 6 area, bandits, I think, have the potential to be the most interesting fight they're going to get into and the most dynamic. If you enjoyed that, you can check out none of my other videos because I don't have any. You can click the bell to get notifications when I upload another video that's probably not about D&D in about a month. That sounds so appealing. Thanks for listening. Keep playing D&D. It's good for your brain.